Hey everyone, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Joanne. And Joanne says, I love the work you do. I'm so grateful for your Ask Amy's and podcast. I've signed up for the Little School of Big Change and I've been working with one of your coaches. That's amazing. The Little School of Big Change starts September 28th, by the way. But if you sign up early, like Joanne has, you save $47. You get to save your seat, so you're guaranteed to have a spot, and you also get some resources to start working on stuff right away. That's not part of Joanne's question, just my own little caveat. So Joanne says, I'm finding myself so on and off with this work. One minute I feel peaceful and lighter and like I understand it, and then I feel anxious and confused over it all. My habit of overdrinking and overeating seems to be getting worse, not better. I don't know why, and it's so frustrating. I keep trying to stay hopeful and stay in the conversation, hoping that it will click, but I'm feeling like it isn't. I feel worse, and I try to re-listen to podcasts and your books, but it seems futile when I'm drinking wine and eating chips again. I feel better when I'm working with my coach, but then I lose it again and seem to go into despair about not getting it, in all caps. My coach will tell me that there's nothing to get, and then I feel better for a day, but then when I get myself back into an existential anxious state, which I was not in before, I don't know if this is for me. What am I missing? So I know I say this a lot. I love your question, Joanne, because it's not just your question, really. This is very common, and it makes perfect sense when we look at what's going on. And I love your question, Joanne, because it's really honest. Like I just think there is nothing that we as human beings can do that helps us more than to just put it out there and look at how, talk about how we feel. I mean, there's so much that we kind of tell ourselves about how we should feel and what we're happy to indulge and some that we're embarrassed to indulge and all of that. So I just love that you're like, hey, this is just what's going on for me. And that right there is speaks volumes, Joanne, about what you're likely to see in things because you're like, hey, this is just the feelings moving through me and the thoughts moving through me and the way I'm acting on them. Here it is. Now what? So just asking this question is amazing for you. Okay, so here's the thing. Ups and downs, like moving, changing, fleeting thought, feeling, always, always, always going to happen. There is no way around that. That does not change with this understanding whatsoever. So, just in general, now I'm not saying that what you're experiencing, Joanne, is always going to happen, but I just want to kind of start there and look at the fact that as human beings, I mean, we are weather. We work just like weather, and just like weather is always changing out in the world, it's always changing through us, always, and it will never not change. No matter where you move, where you go, it's going to be light and then it's going to be dark. And even if you move somewhere where it's never supposed to rain or never supposed to snow, you're going to get a variety of weather. And we are too, and it's always changing, and it's always okay. It's not personal. Now we have our preferences, but it isn't like, ooh, she's feeling frustrated. That's a bad sign. It's not a bad sign. It's a good sign, in fact. It's the tighter, more constricted, more painful feelings, and definitely the feelings that we end up eating and drinking in order to not feel because we misunderstand them. They feel very painful. We think they're wrong. So we eat and drink and do things, right, to not feel them. They are not any better or worse or righter or wronger than joy and excitement and happiness and peace. We just think they are. We just don't like them. They're not our favorites. And our mind, not even us, but our mind starts telling stories about them and what they mean. And you say, I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why I'm eating more and drinking more. I don't know why I go from feeling super peaceful to feeling super frustrated and confused. And the more your mind is in there trying to figure out, not just looking at the fact that thought and feeling moves all the time, but try, but, and I'm not saying you are even doing this. You're definitely not doing this consciously or on purpose, Joanne. None of us are. But there's this way in which our mind goes in and makes it personal and tries to figure it out. And that's what I hear in your question big time. That's what's going on. Is it's super simple. Let's just look at it like this. Sometimes you just don't have a whole lot on your mind. Now take out the piece about it's when your coach said this or it's when you listen to a podcast or anything. I get it. I get that we can be in this conversation and often a lot falls away. That's great. But let's take this whole understanding paradigm conversation, coach, podcast, little school of big change out of it for a minute. The truth of the matter is you're a human being, Joanne, and sometimes thought just kind of falls away, or you're just living your life and it's all over, but you don't care much, and you're great. You're just eating when you're hungry and drinking when you're thirsty, and you're fine. You're just in life, living life, right? Still thought there, but you don't much care. And other times, again, forget about what looks like it comes first and makes it happen and all of that. We're not right about any of that. That's our mind trying to connect all the dots and figure out what makes me feel this way so I can avoid it. It's endless complication. It's a boatload of unnecessary, inaccurate thinking. So let's just not worry about that for a minute. So sometimes thought's there and don't much care and you're great. And other times thought is there and you're like this with it and it feels personal. Why is this here? Why am I eating the chips still? Why do I feel so frustrated? I don't get it. There's something I'm missing. I'm supposed to be getting it. And all of that feels heavy and real and true and like a statement about Joanne. And of course, you're going to feel horrible when it looks that way. Now, that's nothing you're missing. I'm not saying anything about anything you're missing. It's nothing you're missing. It's nothing you're doing wrong. It's not a defect of this understanding. It's none of that. None of that. It's simply that in that moment, the thinking that's moving through you looks really, really real. And a minute ago, it didn't look so real. Or it's telling a really, really personal story that you're caught up in. And a minute ago, it was telling an easier story, or you weren't so caught up in it. That's the only thing ever that's ever happening for any of us in life. And I'm going to say it again. It is so hard to let it be that simple because already as I say that, I bet minds are jumping in all over the place saying, okay, then how do I get more to the other one? Or then why does it feel so bad? Or yeah, but how come when I do this, I feel good, and I do that, and I feel bad? Oh my God, it's just what a mind does. It wants to tell a big fancy story with a cause and effect, and everything's in a linear line, and before and after, and don't worry about any of that. None of that is all that accurate. What you just want to see is that every mind on earth that's ever been on earth sometimes is more quiet and we feel great, and other times is more keyed up and we're listening to it and we're clinging to it, trying to figure it out, and we feel horrible. And then on the behavioral end, well, that's simple. When we feel really horrible and we're really caught up in it, we know that's not us. So we add things like food and alcohol to try to not feel that so much. We want to get back to us. It's a horrible method, but it works. So we do it, right? It works short term. So that's it. Why your habits are sometimes worse than they used to be is because your thinking is more caught up. And listen, Joanne, this is the thing. This happens a lot when people step into this understanding, or I think anything new, any new way of seeing things. Oh my gosh, I went through this like crazy with every self-help book I read for most of my life. Oh, this is, I feel hopeful. Oh, this has helped a lot of people. Maybe it'll help me. And then you hear some stuff and it's like, oh, that makes sense. And you feel better. And then you know what happens? Your mind comes in and says, whoa, this better continue. Or you very naturally, normally, as a human being would, get kind of caught up in your thinking the next day or something, or you don't feel like that all the time because you were never going to. We don't. We're not meant to. So your feelings fluctuate and your mind comes in without you even noticing it's doing this and tells a story. Oh, now you feel worse. I thought you got it. I thought you understood what your coach was saying, or I thought you had that insight the other day. Where is it now? And our mind's in there just doing that, and we feel worse than before we even started. But none of that really matters. I just tell you that to let you know that this is so normal and it happens all the time, and that's why it happens. But what I really want you to look toward is the fact that none of that really matters. We're just feeling thought moving through us, moment to moment to moment. And it's always moving, and none of it means what your mind is telling you it means. And when it's there and it's big, you'll eat and drink. And when it's not, you'll feel great. And none of it is about anything in the big picture. Like, don't try to connect all those dots, because our brain is horrible at connecting dots. It doesn't sound good, but it feels so right and so true to kind of look at, this idea of like not really caring how you feel so much. Because what's happening, I think, with you, Joanne, and again, it happens with a lot of people, is we get this idea that we should really care how we feel. We're supposed to feel a certain way, or now that we're in this conversation, we're supposed to feel a certain way, or whatever. All this understanding does, from all I can see, is make the space within which we are completely human and we feel a variety of stuff. When we get to feel a variety of stuff, it kind of increases that space so that whatever comes our way, great, I don't care. Not like I don't care in a dismissive way, but yeah, I can have a bad day. I can feel really crappy. So can you. Everybody can. It doesn't mean anything. But see, your mind now, Joanne, is making it mean a lot. And again, I'm not saying that you're doing that. I know you know better, but I just want you to see how your mind gets revved up, because that's the only thing that can happen. We can know that that's what's happening with you, because that's the only option. We're either thinking a lot and we're in it, or we're not and we're in life. Really, really, really simple. So you aren't missing anything. You're not, the only thing that we're ever not seeing is just how simple it is, and how anything we feel is not personal. The less we worry about it and care about it, try to figure out and fix it, the more it just moves through. So see if you can take a break, if that makes sense. Just let in some crappy feelings, and it doesn't mean anything about you or your progress. And I'd love to know how that goes for you, kind of stepping back from it a little bit down the line. So thank you so much, Joanne, for sending this question. Again, you're not the only one with this one at all. Very, very common. But thank you for sending it. Thank you guys for listening. And I will see you back here next week. Bye, everyone.